Welcome to the Evening Review. My name is Sakeus, and joining us virtually is Sakeus Iikela, who is the Secretary General of the Namibia Media Professionals Union. He will be touching on certain issues that media professionals are going through, as well as give an update on the status of the registration of the union. Also in the same slot is an earlier interview we did with Enyas Mvula, who's the spokesperson of the Landless People's Movement. And today we are joined virtually by Sakeus Iikela, who is the Secretary General of the media organization representing media workers in Namibia. Welcome to the Evening Review. Sakeus, how are you?
It's good. How are you, Hone?
I'm fine. Want to understand what is the current status of NAMPO in terms of it getting recognition from the Ministry of Labour?
Yeah, that's a question. It hasn't changed. As you might have been aware, and I've stated this also on the show several times, that we filed for that we have applied for that recognition. We have submitted our constitution several times. We have made amendments here and there. And the latest filing that we did was in late March this year, after correcting some of the issues that the Labour Commission had issues with. And until now, we are still waiting for their response on that issue. So basically, that process has taken, unfortunately, longer than we expected.
Given the issue of its recognition by the Ministry of Labour, how does that affect your mandate as a union?
It means that we cannot enter into binding agreement. It means that we cannot take people to court. It means that we cannot also solicit or collect membership fee from our members. And it means a whole lot of things that has to do with any legal action that we will be able to take. For example, issues of we won't be able to represent or to take employers to court. We can, of course, through other means, as maybe individual members, we can go to court, but we cannot go to court as a union. So we can use means to do some things, but not as a legally registered union. But of course, the of the union is not only limited to that. We have been very active in terms of expressing and supporting our journalists in Namibia and as well. And we have been addressing some of the issues that need to be addressed with a recognition agreement, with a recognition certificate, for example, members, or addressing minor issues of disputes. Not to say that it's a we entered into legal processes, but we have here and there established engagements with employers and have gotten some of the issues resolved. And lately we have been on some campaigns. As you might have been aware that we issued yesterday to express our discontent and condemn what I would call that it's an increased behavior by politicians and people holding public office to intimidate and threaten journalists while they are doing their work. The latest incident is involving Mayor Sari Governors, in which she shared the conversation that she had with a journalist from Confidante on and that and the mayor did not only share that conversation, but she also shared critical information. For example, the cell phone number of the journalist and the name online, which exposed the journalist to abuse and threats from people who are supposedly sympathizers and supporters of the mayor. So some of these issues we are saying that constitute cyberbullying. It's actually things that we don't want to see appearing happening in Namibia as in Namibia as, at the moment. So we don't want some of those things to be to our journalists.
And no one is above reproach, and this equally applies to journalists. What is the union doing to sort of ensure that journalists can be held accountable for their reporting from the side of the union?
Yeah, no, correctly. So, I mean, we are not saying that media is immune to criticism. No, we are saying that the people who are subject of any publication that is published by established media houses, there are processes and structures that have been established to deal with some of those issues. If you have a complaint, you either approach the media ombudsman and lodge and get that issue resolved. You can also just directly court and have a structure that would address your complaint in full, as opposed to just going to social media and start name calling and insulting people and also putting other people in danger. In fact, you see, the nature of the job that we do as journalists is very much is very much dangerous. You would not know when people that you have written about would come and threaten even to kill you or beat you up, because these are some of the people who would not kind of educate them on the importance of the media and how they should be interacting with the media. So this is one of those campaigns that we would probably take up in the long run.
Thank you. Saki, want to continue our conversation on the matter of journalists and the union, but before we go that, we're quickly going for a short commercial break. We've seen a few months ago when there was an incident at Chinatown that the conduct of the police towards journalists who were in the line of duty was what one can call hostile. Equally, there's a trend where politicians themselves, the people who are in power, are starting to talk out against journalists. From the side of the union, do you believe that enough protection is extended to the members of the Fourth Estate?
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, with regards to the incident of Chinatown, we also addressed that issue, and we have seen that our police our police and police officers do not really, I don't know if I can say whether they do not really know how to address protests, because it cannot be correct that every time we have a protest there must be tear gases, that every time we have a protest there must be special field force. Some of the protests and mass gatherings are really peaceful, and they would not be any sign of a threat to national security as they portray it, and as they their power to portray the situations. And I'm not sure whether there's any training in the police force on how to deal with media personnel who are covering protests. I'm not sure whether there's something like that. So I would say perhaps maybe the police doesn't understand or how to deal with situations like that. But I would also extend this to the media media owners. Correctly so, the police have also said that when journalists are covering mass gatherings like that, there must be some indicative say symbols to indicate that they are members of the media. In most cases, some media houses give out those jackets that are written media at the back, and some give out reflectors and other things. So that could also be a good initiative and solution going forward, to give journalists those jackets and those identification jackets to ensure that whenever you go to such situations, you not want to only blame other people, but you must also take responsibility of your own safety. So that is perhaps maybe one of the issues that could be done. But generally, I really take issues with the way our police address mass gatherings, and I think it should change. It's not only about journalists, but generally about general members of the public. You participate in a protest wanting to express your views on certain issues, and in many a times you are not really as violent as you are portrayed by the police. But when they come to disperse you, they first deploy those tear gases and rubber bullets to harm you, as opposed to just telling you that you must relocate from here, and you must not continue participating in this mass gathering. So I'm not sure whether perhaps maybe they've come up with training to train their officers on how to conduct and address mass gatherings.
On the matter of the growing hostility that is now being shown by public office bearers, what do you think can be done to address that?
Yeah, I think, you see, in Namibia we claim to be doing well in terms of press freedom and the protection of the media, but I think generally there is a lack of media education. People need to understand the importance of the media, but we do not really understand why the media exists and how it should be, how we should interact with the media going forward. Most of the politicians view the media as I'm not sure whether that can be justified, but they view the media as their enemy as opposed to their partners. And you see that hate is also translated into or it's also extended to, once a politician hates you, then that would also develop some kind of connection and reaction to you once you interact with them. So it's really, and politicians can do well to instigate people to just hate you without doing. You as a journalist, you probably be just doing your work and covering objectively and reporting without fear of, but a politician will take that as an attack against them and use that as an and label you as an anti so and so, or you are paid by who, or you support certain parties, which is not really the case. Yeah. So and I think that journalists in Namibia have been actually doing well in terms of covering political events. We have not really seen any journalist that is aligned to any political movement or any political movement or any political party, or outrightly towards certain individuals or certain politicians. I would say that a fair amount of us cover those political incidences or an event fairly objective. There would be cases here and there that could be questionable, but of course, those ones we can argue about some of those issues, and those ones are some of those isolated issues that can just be discussed and we find a solution to it, as opposed to just attacking and insulting people as if we exist in a vacuum.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Evening Review. I look forward to chatting with you more on the issues of media freedom and the union.
Thank you very much, Ohane.
I'd like to know from your end, with this nomination now, should Mr. Swart, or when Mr. Swartboy is away from Namibia on continental duty, it is bound to have some bearing on his work as a lawmaker and obviously also as an LPM leader. You know, how do you intend to mitigate his lack or the lack of his presence back in Namibia when he is doing the work of the Pan-African Parliamentary Forum?
During the times that our leader sits at the African Parliament, it's actually something that we never felt. Before he has been in and out of the country, of course, on various capacity building missions, as well as other missions that intend to consolidate our position in the Namibian politics, as well as on the subcontinent and the world at large. So we would rather see it as an opportunity and rather a clarion call for the LPM to really solicit more support on the international level, as well as to ensure that the voice of every Namibian is heard internationally. There are various contemporary issues that have been happening not only in the past months, but obviously for the past, let's say, 28 years. And as you well know, that we haven't actually been silent ever since the day we took up seats across all three levels of government in Namibia. And we will not relent for that matter in any coming time. His presence at the Pan-African Parliament would actually amplify our work, or the output of our work, and also guide the input into what we do much more significantly than before. As you know, that LPM obviously is a national party, or not a nationalist party, and I mean, besides the small talks around that the is ethnic based, wherever or whatever that means. So we are first of all proud of this development, and it's actually a development that has, or rather, a development that has been quite long overdue, because the Pan-African Parliament seat, where SWAPO and PDM is or are at the moment, our seat as LPM has been vacant, and it has been vacant ever since the battle between a competent court of the Keetmans magistrate courthouse and the Judiciary Commission officials that have started their groundless battle. And ever since then, the absence of two councillors, Councillor Anselin Biekes, as well as Gert Witbooi, has been vacant or have been absent from the National Council, which is the upper house of Parliament. We have actually had back and forth, rather not fights, but differences with the Speaker of the National Assembly, Professor Peter Kachavivi, as well as, unfortunately, the leader of the opposition party, which is actually Henry Venani, who continuously attempted to block LPM from taking up this vacancy. So, in the consensus that was, or rather the nomination then of Honorable Swartboy, has not come very easy, or didn't come through very easy because of these two individual MPs, and it is actually now we actually should be viewed as victory of the LPM again, that finally we managed to reach, or at least secure, a nomination for that seat, and obviously that seat will be taken up with immediate effect. So, and it's a unique record to, I mean, that is now established between the outside world when it comes to the I mean, lawmaking. When it comes to the lawmaking fraternity of politics, and at the international scale level, as well as then between that and the local, I mean, lawmaking representatives of the LPM here in Namibia. So we actually expect much more work at the end of, at the beginning of this year. We have actually presented our theme, which accompanied, you remember, our submission to the State House on in the form of a proposal that was directly to the State President, Dr. Hage Geingob, on how to go about developmental as well as social issues in the country, and how to expedite that, and the resources that are required, of course, also in view of the newly founded fortune of the country, which will be or should be realized in the coming 3 years or so. That's the oil discovery of the Namibian coast. So our theme for the year, building a competent state, I think will speak more volumes. I mean, given that this has now developed.
And then I want to ask, since we are running out of time, as a party collective, what do you hope to achieve from seeing your MP serving on the Parliamentary African Forum?
Well, we actually foresee the parliamentary, or rather that Pan-African Parliament to be more vibrant on both sides. I mean, given that Honorable Malema is on it, I mean, son of the South African soil, and then obviously our own political icon locally, as considered by many. That this is not my I'm not making this up, or it's not my own words. And we also then expect the deliberations through the contributions, of course, through the LPM contributions, to really guide our policy unit as the LPM, as well as to advance our debates within the Namibian Parliament, and then that's both National Council and National Assembly. And one of the most critical issues that we would like to actually rake in input for is, for example, the ancestral land claims and restitution, which hopefully through the debate at the Pan-African Parliament would lead to at least the establishment of a claims court in Namibia, or land claims court in the country, and which is actually an assignment that we have committed since the current ruling party has actually, or dismally, failed to address the land issue in a more amicable manner, and in a manner that considers the emotions that are attached to this land issue, and would also give us an opportunity, hopefully, to convince our partners within the civil society of Namibia to actually come to the desk, to the round table, and then see how we can best address the central government in efficiently implementing all resolutions that were taken at the Second Land Conference. So there are a lot of really hanging fruits, whether it's in the political sphere, trade, as well as the implementation, perhaps, of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Evening Review. It was certainly a pleasure talking to you.